really want to talk to avatars that are AI generated? Do we really? If businesses start using them for customer service or other solutions tomorrow, would this really be better for us? I hate chatbots. I think most of us do. But could avatars that are super realistic fundamentally change the way we interact with companies forever? Every time something happens in the tech world that could change our daily lives, I want to know more so we can be better prepared. So I reached out to DID, whose platform has been used to create more than 150 million avatar videos and has more than 250,000 developers building solutions with their APIs. Let's get into this with Igor Hofman from DID. Let's just jump right into this. Avatars, right? In your experience, in your research, in your day-to-day sales activities, do humans really want to interact with avatars? What's the sense you get?
Yeah, very, very good question and a big one. And I would say that there are multiple answers to that. So if you ask it this way, I don't think there's a straight answer. But
Fair enough.
the answer is that people want to interact with people.
Right.
This is 100%. So people feel comfortable interacting with people, speaking with people, seeing people. Their brain is better suited for interactions with people. Avatars are representations of people. So in that sense, if you bring it this way, when someone is speaking to an avatar and the avatar resembles enough to a person, it makes the effect. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is that it depends on the quality of the avatar, on the experience that the person has with the avatar, and then the experience is definitely better when it resembles as much as possible the interaction with the person.
How fast is this stuff developing? Do you know what I mean? Because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, if we looked at what an avatar looks like online, it was kind of a little mechanical. Even the voices were a little bit mechanical. I feel like it's moving really quickly now. And I'm just curious what the sense is on your side as well.
Yeah, so it's moving very, very quickly. We saw the jump something like 2 years ago with everything happened with large language models. GPT boosted 2 years ago, more or less, and ever since it's really growing. Also, there are multiple types of avatars.
Tell me.
Specifically at our company, we're focusing on hyper realistic avatars. So we're trying to make the avatars as close as possible to the human. Right. There are also other types of avatars. There are cartoon-like avatars, there are generated avatars, and so on. So many different types, and they're catering for different needs. Because sometimes you don't want to speak with a human. Maybe you want to speak with a cartoon. Maybe you want to interact with someone from the past that you know it doesn't live today. So it's not like you fool yourself into thinking you're speaking with someone like Einstein,
right,
for example. But yes, to your question, it's moving very fast. We actually started from photo-based avatars that are being made from one still photo. Take one photo and you animate the photo, you bring photo to life. This is where we started like something 3 years ago, more or less, when we entered into this generative AI space. Ever since, things changed. So we also have, not only us, but everyone have photo-based avatars, video-based avatars, short video-based avatars. And there are multiple types, but everything's progressing very quickly.
It's just kind of amazing. Is this one of those things you think that's just going to be so pervasive that over time, it's going to be hard to tell, like it's going to be indistinguishable between like whether I'm talking to a real person or whether I'm talking to an avatar? Does that make sense in certain situations?
Yes, I think in the longer term, this is where it will end up. I think for now, and we also see it, no one tries, and I think also our recommendation is not to fool people.
Right.
We want to bring the effect of having the human interaction while still keeping people honest and making them aware that they are still speaking with AI generated characters. I think it's very important because there are still some discrepancies. It's not 100% yet. And if people feel that they're being fooled, then they will be less ready to engage. So we're actually, I'm maybe jumping ahead here,
No.
but we in the company, we're very big believers of ethics and responsible use of AI. We're kind of seeing ourselves as the flag holders of this movement of using AI in the right way. So we encourage our customers not to fool anyone. Although maybe it's possible in some places, but let people know they're speaking with generative AI based avatars and enjoy the conversation and enjoy the effects of it. but not kind of always be alert to who am I speaking with. Speaking with a person, it's an avatar. We're trying to move away from whatever deep fakes and all those things that happened in the past, which were very negative in this space.
Yeah, I want to get into the ethical issues a little bit later, as you suggested, but I want to ask you kind of a funny question too. You've been in sales, you said, for 10 years. And there is kind of a sales function that an avatar can't, like it can double you, triple you, quadruple you, right? And if your customers have questions, they're naturally going to ask the salesperson a question. Is there a way for you to use this as well? Do you know what I mean? Take a photo of you, maybe take a video of you, put your voice in there, and just have an FAQ, let's say. It's like standard questions that your customers would ask you. And they know it's not you, right? Because you said this is the ethical issue. But the simple stuff that they may need to know, are you already doing that kind of stuff?
Yes, 100%. 100% I'm doing it because I'm working in this space, so I have to do it.
Right.
As you say, you have to eat your own dog food. So
I love it.
we are doing it. But I would just take it and explain. So one of the main markets that we are focusing on is
Right.
our main verticals, because we're more vertical oriented than industry specific, is sales and marketing. Actually, it starts from marketing and then it goes to sales, because the easiest way to use AI generated content is in marketing content, advertising, targeted personalization, and so on. So we're definitely doing it, and not only us, but many companies in the world today. They're creating marketing content using AI, using avatars, and then they can really make the content more accurate, more personalized. So imagine you can create 1,000 different videos, and every video is different just by how you approach your target audience, or who is the presenter that you use for specific audience. So
right.
maybe in certain places a woman would be better than a man. In certain places, someone who is more older is better than someone who is more younger. In terms of how the content is absorbed and how people are engaging with it. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, when it comes to actually like one-on-one interactions, so we're not yet replacing completely salespeople, although maybe this is kind of direction that we can go, but we can replace the initial step. So the qualification step, for example, in a sales call, definitely can be done using an avatar. The avatar can do the Q&A session, they can qualify the prospect, and then they can provide the initial information and pass it on for the more complex parts to the actual human. So we're definitely doing that right now, both from a content perspective and from an interactive perspective.
I was actually really impressed with the website. I was rooting around the website, and I liked how you had the, how to have an agent. You had an avatar agent actually doing the introduction. It was just kind of cool. And all the videos, at least most of them that I looked at, had like a different person doing it with a different voice and stuff like that. And it really makes it, I was just sitting there stunned, actually. But I'll also tell you this. I didn't know this, but my team is already using this technology from DID. I did not know that. I told them that I was having you on the show, and they were like, really? We use that thing every day. Here's what they do. They write an introduction that a human does, the same, like one of my teammates does an introduction for one of the products that we have. He does the intro, and then he has his avatar, Max, go through a step-by-step explanation of it. And the way they use it is they've built Max on their own. They have somebody else's read a text, but then have that text use one of your voices. And then at the end, the real human jumps back on and says, that's our product, blah, blah, blah. Please click here if you want to use this thing. So it's multiple ways that this thing can be used. Do you have other like specific examples you could share as well?
Yeah, so first, I'm not surprised, although we are flattered, but we're not surprised because when we look at our customer base, we can have something like 40,000 people using our platform in multiple ways, but we actually have millions of people trying it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Now, only a very small portion of those customers are actually growing to a large scale use, and those are the bigger companies, the bigger enterprises of the world. But also, like every day, we discover that some huge enterprise, some Coca-Cola, Target, Walmart, whatever, are using us for a commercial they did, or for a corporate training piece that they have. They don't even talk to us. Maybe I didn't say it, but we're following a PLG strategy, product-led growth. What it means is that we're actually allowing people to use our product on a self-serve basis, just going to our website and starting to use, without talking to anyone, without having sold anything. And only when they reach a certain point or a certain scale of operation, only then they're being approached by a salesperson to try and see if they can go into an enterprise plan. It's a sales dynamic. It's a marketing and sales dynamic which we're operating.
Yep.
But what this allows is a very high exposure to people of our product. So this is why I'm not surprised. In terms of how people are using it, so I would just take it from a customer journey perspective.
Please.
The way companies looking at it, as they see the different touch points with their audience and their customers along the way, from the beginning when no one knows about their brand, all the way to the actual closing of a deal, or even selling a recurring deal and upselling and so on. Throughout this journey, there are multiple touch points where you can use the avatars to interact with the person. So we start with like the initial advertisement, right? So someone wants to create an advertisement. They're just creating a content. They're creating an avatar, incorporating the avatar into the content, and just sending it out there at like one-time commercial. Then the second thing that they do is trying to focus on a specific audience, right? So they're sending, as I mentioned, like personalized videos or different types of videos with different avatars incorporated into those videos to try and catch the attention of those audiences, right? Then when the audience come back, then what they can do is they can actually have an avatar on their website, communicating with people who are actually going to the website and answering questions or guiding them through the website. The next thing is actually having a more personalized interaction. So you can, and those we see a bit less because it's just the beginning of it, but it grows, where actually people are opening a live chat with an avatar and allowing them to speak with their customers and actually kind of qualifying or selling something or offering something. And then the last piece of it is a customer service. So we see today more and more people who are actually replacing their chatbots or enhancing their chatbots with an avatar-based chatbot, which in fact is what you see on our website, but not from a marketing and sales perspective, more from a service perspective. So they can actually file tickets or support requests, and then the avatar can speak about what's being done and how they're being supported and so on. And the last piece of it is customer retention. Customer retention is around like if someone wants to cancel their subscription. So the avatar can actually help with understanding why and maybe even keep this customer for a longer period. I'm telling it in a very generic way because we see a lot of different industries using us, from banking and insurance to retail to telcos, everywhere, and also small medium businesses like yourself, for example. They want to create several touch points with their customers or customer base or listeners. They just create a few content pieces, and then they create an avatar. The avatar speaks with their audiences and so on. So we see it from all the spectrum.
I am sure that you don't have stats off the top of your head, and I'm not interested in the exact statistics, but I will say this, and I'm curious about your opinion on this as well. I know that, like, for instance, when I post something on LinkedIn, if I just post text, let's say I get like 1,000 views. I'm making up the numbers, yeah? If I put a photo there, some kind of image, I probably get 2,000 views. If I put a video there, though, right, any kind of video, particularly a video with a human in it, I get way more interaction and engagement. And I'm just curious if that's part of this too, right? So when I see a chatbot, it just kind of annoys me because I know it's a machine and I feel like I'm interacting with a machine. And I think everybody feels this way. But I think if it was with an avatar, even if I know, like you said, because you're not trying to trick people, you're saying, here's a human representation of this information, essentially. Talk to them. If that's what I was doing, I feel like I would be way more engaged. Is that what you guys are seeing as well?
Yes. So it actually has two levels. And
Tell me.
Mentioning the first level is the first one, which is why video content is better than non-video content. This is very, very evident. We see it all around. I don't have specifically. I just want to. We know a few things. So we know that people reacting to video content in a much better way than non-video content. We see it all over. It can be educational content, it can be promotional, it can be just information. But we really see it. I think that there's a number here that like engagement and memory of the content is 90% higher when it's video versus when it's just text. I'm not sure about images. And that makes sense. Even when the person doesn't know, even when the person is aware this is an avatar, still having the video there, having the person there, having the face there, makes something, does something to the brain, so he gets more engaged. He it's even primal. When someone sees the teacher, they're watching and trying to see what she has to say. But if they don't see it, they just move away to something else. So this is sure, and we see that. The second thing is about the actual interaction with the avatar, and the same thing happens there. When people talk to chatbots, so there is something already ingrained in them. They know it's AI based, or not even AI. There's a pre-scripted. There are like multiple choices, decision trees, and so on. When someone appears in front of them, they start conversation, something changes, and they actually have a more natural conversation and a bit less annoyed about the conversation.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen anytime. It really depends, and this is why it needs to, we always recommend our customers to be very careful about where is the highest impact. Because if you are like driving in your car and you want to have customer service or support for someone, you don't need an avatar. You need someone to look at. It's just going to be distraction for you. But if you are now in a place of comfort, you're in front of your computer or in front of your TV, and you want to have a more, I would say, meaningful conversation, but it's more of an insightful conversation, then the visual makes a lot of sense. So we see a transformation from chatbots towards AI assistants. This is like the code name here. But essentially, it's chatbots that are based on two things. One is large language models, makes the conversation more fluent, more engaging, not decision trees that they used to be before, and like picking up one of 5 choices and so on. And second is having the avatar as the interface for this conversation, to actually have this the conversation more natural.
So do you want to talk a little bit about NUI, these natural user interfaces at scale, right? And I'm super curious. Again, I don't know the answer to this too, but the math behind the development of taking a photo and turning it into a video, or even taking a video and then turning it into this interactive thing, has to be super complicated. Anyway, talk to me a little bit about NUI so I can learn more.
Very complicated. We are taking it a little bit for granted in this conversation because we're already several years past it.
Into it. I know.
Just to give you an idea. So we, in our company, and not only ours, companies in our category, we employ the most smart people on the planet.
Yeah. Just computational PhDs must be just like falling out the windows in your office. Do you know what I mean? They must be everywhere.
Falling out of our windows because we pick
But you know what I mean.
them very carefully. But yes, we're not talking about AI, deep learning researchers that are coming from the academia and applying this to the business world. So the algorithms are built in a very, very accurate and sophisticated way. But let's put aside for a second. What we believe, I'll talk about NUI, but I want to start by explaining where we actually came from. This is our long-term vision. So we believe that the real or the new way to interact with anything digital, and I'm talking about services, appliances, and pretty much anything, would be different than it is today. So today, where you were used to something called GUI, graphical user interface. This is, and again, we're used to it for the last 20 years, but it not always been this way. Before that, people remember it was command line interface. People
command lines,
typing
DOS.
And then we started with something more graphical. So now people are used to having buttons and links everywhere. But actually, if you think about it, what's the easiest way? What's the easiest way to communicate? And we talked about it before. Talking to people.
Talking. So can I just interrupt you for 1 second? But keep the thought. I hate typing into chat because sometimes the thought is too complicated to explain, and there needs to be a little bit of back and forth. Like, here's the thing I think, here's the answer, then I have to go back and forth and do this. It's much easier. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is exactly that. It is not natural. It's very efficient because this is the way we used to speak with machines up until now. So the easiest way to speak to someone, if I would say, I would bet that anyone would ask, what do you prefer? To go on a website, or if you had immediately appeared a person in front of you, you can just ask
talk to a person.
No question. Having a personal assistance for everyone.
Yeah.
If this was possible, this would be ideal. It's not possible. We cannot double the population of our planet. Also, not everyone can have assistance, and it's very expensive, and it's not really feasible. So people want to have those type of assistance, which is more natural. Now, there was something in between. A few years ago, the voice movement started. We all know Alexa and Google Home and all those Siri voice assistants. they are like half step towards where we need to be, but still not yet fully adopted. And I think the reason for it is because there are several reasons. One is because the actual conversation was not yet ready, or was not in the level that people were expecting. But second, something else was missing. We believe what was missing is the actual visual, the face of the person. And what we believe will happen is that, and I'm talking about long term, that we're changing this from graphical user interface into natural user interface. Natural is a general word, but what we mean by it is that eventually you'll go on a website and the first thing you see is an AI assistant or a person asking you, "What are you here for? How can I help you?"
How can I help you?
And then immediately you start a conversation. If you want to have it in this way, great. If you want to keep on driving your car and do it in a voice way, also fine. But the first engagement is a very personal, very natural engagement where you see a face of someone. Preferably the someone is someone who you most relate to. It can be someone in your, as you mentioned, we can really tailor this to be in your age group, in your ethnic group, or whatever, not to fool you, just to make you feel more comfortable. People,
exactly.
When they see people who more resemble to them, or who they don't feel intimidated by, or authority-wise, or so on. So this is how we see the future. We see it with natural user interface based by AI assistants that looks like people and that speaks and interacts like people.
So are we going to get to the point where, like, I'd love to have a personal assistant today, but you're right, I can't afford one yet, yeah? Almost there, but I can't afford it yet. But if I had an avatar that I could just say, answer this email with this thing, please make an appointment for me to do this thing, or all these little things that just take up so much of my time, and that person, resembled like one of my friends or was part of my peer group, I would do that all day, right? Are you suggesting that that's going to happen sooner rather than later?
So I'm suggesting it's already happening today. It's just not yet widespread as regular communication with large language models, because even today you can already have your own. So it's not really full assistant. It's still companionship, and it moves towards assistance. Because now you can have an avatar using the ID or just speaking with ChatGPT or with Claude. And they can be your companion. You can actually talk to them, and they can talk back. It's more driven by you, not by them. So you ask them a question, you get an answer. You want them to create you want GPT to create you a PowerPoint presentation or an Excel sheet. That they can do those things for you already. But it's still very, very reactive. What we are doing now, and it's already being built with our top customers, is an AI assistant that is not only informative, but also capable of performing multiple tasks. And this is possible already today. It's just being built by the big companies. So you will see it out there in several months. What I'm talking about is like not only, so you have an AI assistant, you can ask them a question, they can give you an answer. Then you can say, let's say, for example, it's a bank. So you want to do some transaction in the bank. So the AI, the interface is the person you're speaking with. But behind the scenes, there's large language model that also interacts with the bank systems. So they know how to make authentication, they know how to make the transaction itself, and everything happening behind the scenes. And you get the response back, which is a visual response. Transaction is made, or your loan is approved, or whatever, and everything is done. So those things are currently in motion. They're requiring some deep integrations of multiple systems, but it's already possible today.
So this brings up another issue, and again, you may not have the answer to this, but I'm just thinking kind of on my foot here. If I'm working with a bank and I'm dealing with an avatar, which I'm perfectly happy to do, and I say, can you please move $10,000 from this account to that account and blah, 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 or do whatever. And I'm like, oh, actually, can you make it $5,000? But they already moved the 10. Do you know what I mean? Like who, if it's an employee, like I know their name, I can know their employee number. I know the person responsible. In this case, like how do you handle that other issue of who's actually accountable for this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this is why it will not happen tomorrow, and maybe banking is not the first one where this will be applied for. It's all about the process, defining process. What we're doing with many of our customers is we're actually designing the solution and designing the journey that the customer or the interactor is having with the system. So everything you mentioned here is logics. You just need to define them.
Yeah.
So we have people who are responsible for customer experience. It's a new term now, CX, customer experience. You'll see in many places now they have head of customer experience using AI and so on. They are responsible for designing how the experience will look like, and those are one of those things. But it's very simple to create like safeguards and boundaries and limitations around what's possible, not possible with the AI.
Right.
At the end, eventually, if you look at it from a few years from now, everything will be possible. But to get there, we design those processes properly.
So when ChatGPT first came out, we talked about all the parameters. First, it was who knows how many, and now it's trillions of parameters. Most big companies, though, to run a proper large language model that's specific, so a smaller, lighter version of an LLM, don't need that many parameters. And in some senses, can really customize it for their own uses. I can see cases, and I can see avatar cases for this as well, where internal like company learning is based on all these kind of internal company wikis that are constantly being updated. And if I have a question about some company policy or my insurance policy or anything, I can literally go onto a website or even internally and just go, can you tell me what my policy covers? Does it cover this thing or that thing or the other thing? Or I want to learn about this part of this business on the weekend so that when I go in on Monday, I'm just more informed. I presume that these lighter, smaller LLMs paired with avatars and then fine-tuned just for specific purposes are already being used, yeah?
Yeah, so you don't have to have smaller LLMs. So the way it works today is something that's called LLM grounding LLM, or maybe you heard the term vector database. What it means is that you take a large language model. It can be GPT, it can be Claude, it can be Mistral, whatever. Even if it's very big, trained on a lot of parameters, and you kind of direct into the right direction. You say, you know everything you know, but now you also have this specific vector on which you are the specialist. And then the way to do it, this is like me simplifying it a lot, but the way to do it afterwards is that you define, or the company defines, what would be the default versus what would be like the escalation path. For example, we're working with an insurance company. We made it clear that this specific AI assistant is responsible. They know everything about life insurance, specifically about like 5 or 10 different policies. This is what they're expert in. Now, the company can decide if they want it to be completely grounded, which means if the question or the task is around those policies, they can answer. If it's outside of this space, they just say, I have no idea. Don't ask me about those things. I have no idea about it. You can ask my colleague. This is like being fully grounded. Then you can be hybrid. Hybrid means that if you don't know the answer, then you can have some kind of a relay. You can say, I don't know the answer to it, but according to the internet, this is the answer. So you can kind of go away from the vector outside, or you can be completely ungrounded, and then they always answer, regardless if the answer is the right one from the vector or something coming outside. So this is possible to do today. It's possible to do actually even when you create an agent on the AD. So you just upload the information, the database, and then you can decide if it's ungrounded or hybrid or grounded.
Okay, a couple more questions, and then maybe I'll let you go. This is so interesting, though. I just want to keep you here forever.
No.
Would it be helpful and I think we talked about this before we started recording, right? Like I wanted you to move your camera angle so I could see you better. I like to have a nice microphone so I sound good. I don't want to sound like this because it's harder to hear me. But will it mean that when I'm interacting with an avatar, if I have slightly better equipment, that most people are going to end up being equipped with a slightly better camera, a better microphone, so that the avatar can actually sense them in a way that's better? Does that make sense?
Yes, it's a bigger topic, and actually it's a good topic for us to kind of conclude. And the way the path and the place where this is going, the avatars, is into a place where the avatar is more human, meaning more emotional or more responsive, and it comes from two directions. So one direction is how the avatar itself reacts to the one he's speaking with, right? So we are moving into a place where we can do expressions, facial expressions, and voice intonations. And
I was going to ask. Yeah.
so it's something that we're working on right now. It's still not 100% there yet, but we're working on it. I believe by the end of the year, we'll release our first expressive avatar. Right now, we can do some expressions, but on an ad hoc basis. So this is us, but it's all going this direction. So expressing emotions and being more human, it comes from two places: from how the avatar looks like the expressions they have, how they sound, the intonations they have, and also what they say, the context itself. So this is on the output part. On the input part, there's something called sentiment analysis. We are already doing it from a contextual perspective. So which means that based on what's your sentiment of the text that you're talking to the avatar with. So if you're talking to an avatar, you say something, everything you say turns into text, then this text is being analyzed, and then we can decide, or the LLM can decide, if the response is to calm you down or to excite you or something like that. Going forward, there will be more cues that will be gathered. For example, as you mentioned, cameras, voice recorders, all those things will be captured. So the avatar will eventually know, based on how they sense you from the camera, if you are happy or not happy from your face. So also like facial recognition, facial analysis, the same ways for your voice. So going forward, the avatar will be completely expressive and also analytical. So they would know based on all the cues they're gathering, and they will give the response both contextual but also emotional.
Yeah, because that's key, right? I mean, look, there are certain phrases in every language. I could say to you, "Get out of here," which just means like, I'm not taking you seriously. Or I could say, "Get out of here," which means leave the room kind of thing, right? So very simple phrases. The context can be different and the sentiment can be different. And if you can hear it as opposed to just reading it in the text, right, you can get a better sense for what that person is thinking. I can't wait to see what this stuff is going to look like. Do you want to comment just at the end about the ethics of all this stuff? Because you mentioned it in the middle, and I just want people to understand that you are not, as a firm, you want to be flag holders on this. You want to tell people that it's not trying to be trickery, that it's just trying for productivity and for helping. I just want to make sure that that's clear to people. If you just want to say it one more time.
Yes. So there are also several elements to it. So
please,
on the one hand, again, from a statement perspective, we believe in the ethical and responsible use of AI in general. Which means that we don't want to see misuse, and we also want to see very authentic use of what we can offer. So which means that we are encouraging people, and not encouraging only, but we're also enforcing it, having watermarks and making sure people understand that this is an AI generated content. Moderation controls, we have them on what people, the avatars, can actually say, and so that they cannot be processed or designed in a way that they can say things that are offensive. Not only offensive, also political and stuff like that. There are some ground rules there that we're enforcing on our side. The other side of it is actually going into authentication of AI content, making sure that every content is out there. It's clear if it's an AI based content or not, and also if it was created in a proper way. This is what I can say from a title perspective. So we're currently working with some of the biggest companies in the world. One of them is Microsoft. We're in partnership with them on that. We actually have an entire large plan about responsible AI and the use of AI in general with avatars there. Awesome. This is one of the things, making sure that content is out there. Not only people know it's AI based, also they know it was created in the proper way throughout all the protocols. And there's one more side of it, which is social impact and doing good with AI, which we are very, very big believers of it, and we're doing a lot of pro bono around it. Not only pro bono, but in general projects around bringing awareness, helping people with the use of avatars. So there's a lot to it, but altogether, we believe that the right way to use it is leveraging the positives by kind of limiting the negatives and trying to see how it's done for the right way.
Perfect. Okay. Igor Hofman, VP of Sales at DID. Thank you so much for doing this. That was really incredible.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.